Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Power Play Tuesday class that we have for you guys on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. We have a very special guest that I'm going to bring on in just a second, but real quickly, I'm going to run through just a couple of quick brief announcements, fill you guys in on some of the upcoming events that we have and some special promos that are going on this month. So of course, this class and all the education that we put on, it is for educational purposes only. So Quest does not give any tax, legal, structuring, investment advice, nor does the education that we provide do that as well. So of course, always go do your due diligence, but we know that the education that we have here for you today is going to be great. If you ever want to speak with an IRA specialist, maybe something from this class really piqued your interest or you want to learn more, you're ready to get started, whatever it may be, we have over 35 certified IRA services professionals on our team, always available to help answer any questions about self-directed IRA, or IRAs or wealth building. So scan this QR code, you can schedule your free consultation with one of them. And as I mentioned, we do have some special promotions going on at the start of the year. So we're going with this theme, new year, new money, maybe even a new account. So starting off 2024, if your New Year's resolution is to really start building your wealth, you want to get started on, growing those finances, now would definitely be the time to do it. So for the whole month of January, if you use the code NEW24, we will give you 50% off of that account opening fee. So normally it's $100, but with that 50% off, you're going to get that brand new account for just $50. We don't normally do this promotion, so if you want to take advantage of that, now would definitely be the time to do it. As I mentioned, some of the events that we put on, of course, Power Play Tuesday. We also have Self-Directed IRA Saturday that happens at the same time as this one, but of course on Saturday. We also have in-person networking events. So our self-directed IRA socials will be happening in each one of our cities in Austin, Dallas, and in Houston, starting in February. And we're going to be doing the dynamic duos, kind of playing off that Valentine's theme. But don't worry, if you don't have a date, not a problem. We'll have some partners there too that aren't couples. But we really want to showcase what it's like investing with somebody else. What are some of those challenges? What makes it great? So the dynamic duos, the power couples of partnering for success, will be taking place February 1st, February 6th, and February 8th. Again, those are free as well. They are in person. We only do those 4 times a year. So it's a really great opportunity to actually come and network, not just having to use the chat, which is also great, but it gives you guys just a little bit of a different kind of opportunity. At our last ones that we had, they were really big and we had a lot of positive feedback there. So we're really excited for these. We're posting those links there in the comments so you can get registered for free. And then one of my last updates, saving the best for last, of course, the Quest Expo is returning. So we've been telling you guys a little bit about it, but if you have never attended the Quest Expo, this is the one event. If you can't make it to any other one throughout the whole year, this is the one that you want to be at. This is going to be a full 3-day training conference with a welcome party, a big American dream party for everybody at the end of the weekend. But more importantly, over 35 keynotes, panels. We're going to have about 80 different industry vendors that will be there, all designed and chosen to be resources that will help you guys in your alternative investing careers. So there's going to be a little bit of something there for everybody, whether you're interested in notes, private equity, actual purchases of direct real estate. There's literally going to be something there for everyone, beginner or advanced. So we encourage you to go to the website, get your ticket for that. The VIP ones are actually going the fastest right now because there are a lot of special perks there. But I'm actually going to go ahead and post my special link as well. If you guys do want to get registered, that'll just take you directly there with my code and you guys can get your tickets. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our speaker, Rick. It is, of course, the new year, right? A lot of people have started those New Year's resolutions. Maybe for some, that's getting back into the gym. Maybe it's eating healthier. Maybe for some, it's taking the first step or the next step on your wealth building journey. So today, what we're going to be talking a little bit about is ways that can maybe help you get started. It's not always as easy as just saying, I'm ready to go. Sometimes you need capital. Sometimes you're not aware of the opportunities that you actually have available to you. So today, Rick is going to talk a little bit about, some of those possibilities of using your IRA to maybe invest in startups or being a lender, or if you're maybe a borrower, ways to find capital. So Rick, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you. We're really glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, and thanks for joining in today. I apologize for my voice. I just got off a week-long cough, and all that's left is this sort of hoarse voice. So I apologize for that. But thank you, Sarah. Super happy to be talking with you all today. Again, I'm actually an entrepreneur who's raised capital through angel investments that were facilitated pre-tax by a self-directed IRA. I made two investments through a different intermediary, but now we have two new investors that came in through Quest. The service has been great, and I'm pleased to have two more investors coming in through self-directed IRAs early this year. So I'm just going to share a few slides with you. First, a little bit about myself. I lead a company called Earnest. We invented fully digital earnest money for real estate. So we're a startup. We're raising capital almost exclusively through angels. We have some very large angels like National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, Keller Williams Realty International, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. So there's some quite large entities who came in as angels. But most of our angels are brokers, agents, escrow holders, accredited investors who wanted to diversify their portfolio and invest in a tech startup. So real quickly, what we do, we have an app that's free for agents, escrow holders, and we send a fully digital Venmo-style payment request for the earnest money deposit. So that's simply, we've done about 320,000 deposits so far, and we've had 0 cases of fraud. So we'll talk a little bit more of that in a little bit. About me, I'm self-proclaimed corporate dweeb turned tech entrepreneur. I spent 20 of my 35 years at some pretty big brands, McDonald's Corporation, Shell, and BP, as you can see. After leaving BP in Chicago in 2018, I joined Earnest when we moved back home to Greenville, South Carolina. And I joined Earnest. A friend of mine had made this company as a startup. So I'm not the co-founder, but I am the CEO, almost 5 years now. My wife and I have invested in every angel round so far, 3 major rounds. We've used our own self-directed IRA, as I mentioned, twice, totaling about 340,000. And based on all of our investments so far, we're very pleased and humbled to be the largest shareholder at this point in our small but growing startup. So that's a little bit about me. About Earnest, we were founded by an agent for agents. George Clements is a 20-year Keller Williams agent. Let me take a sip of tea. He was doing about 40 or 50 homes a year as a individual real estate agent. Pretty successful guy here in our little local community of Greenville. And frankly, he just got tired of dropping off checks, picking up checks from buyers, dropping them off at attorneys' offices. So in 2017, he founded Earnest. Since then, we've raised about $15 million, $13.5 million in equity, and about $1.5 million in private debt. And by the way, you can invest in startups that qualify. You can buy equity through an SDIRA. You can buy debt or invest in debt. And you can also, for those who have SAFE agreements available, which is a simple agreement for future equity, you can also invest in SAFE agreements through your SDIRA. Just a different department there at Quest would handle those different types of investments. So right now we're well funded. We have half a dozen or so investors that we're still talking to from December that we're wrapping up, but we're fully funded for the year and on into 2025. So we're very thankful for that. Just a little bit about angel investing. Many of you have done this probably, but if you haven't, just a quick primer on what it means to be an angel investor. This is my first angel investment experience, so I've learned a ton in the last 5 years. When you invest in a startup as an angel, you're typically buying non-voting units in an LLC. Every LLC is structured differently, but a typical arrangement would be, as an accredited investor, you would buy ownership units. These are basically shares, but as you know, in an LLC, they're referred to as units. They're often priced rounds. Sometimes they can be unpriced rounds, as I mentioned. A SAFE agreement would be an unpriced round where you would come in and invest, say, $100,000 or $200,000, and you would have an agreement to buy equity in the next round that was priced, typically at a 20 to 30% discount to the open round. So we did a SAFE back in 2019. We've now converted that into equity, but that can also be a very useful mechanism to raise capital and a good way to invest if you want to be an angel investor. Sometimes you can invest in term loans. Most startups have both debt and equity. Some are 100% funded by debt. If they're very lucky, they might have debt investors that carry the whole startup capital deck. But most angel investments come in as equity, but oftentimes there's also debt available. So how does it work when you make an angel investment? If you're buying equity, you simply sign a subscription agreement, become part of that LLC. If you use an SDIRA like I have, and like some of our other angel investors have, you would come in, the investment would be made, and it's a deposit into your self-directed IRA, and then your administrator, in this case Quest, would make that direct investment in the company with your money for benefit of your IRA. And if you happen to do a SAFE, as I mentioned, it's not debt, it's not equity, it sits between debt and equity and converts to equity at a future date. Those are the three main ways to invest in a startup that's taking angel capital. All right. What can I expect if I'm an angel investor? Well, you can expect an exciting time. 90% of startups fail in the first 3 years, so buyer beware. A lot of really good ideas fail on the way to execution. We're very grateful to be fully funded and sustainable as a startup now. I will admit that those first couple of years were pretty tenuous and exciting, but we've grown to a point where we're basically what would be considered a early stage growth company as opposed to a startup. Every single startup has different risks and opportunities. You have to do your homework. It's typically not something you can get a dividend. So if you're a cash flow investor looking for $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month in dividends, this is not typically the way to invest. And potentially you don't think about the returns in terms of percentages, like I want a 5% return or a 15% return. Typically you would look for a higher return because in most cases the risk is higher. So you're essentially introducing beta, additional risk into your portfolio, looking to enhance your average returns. And again, like Sarah said on the way in, I'm not here to give you investment advice. I'm just saying that typically this is the way it works. Well-diversified, accredited investors look for ways to introduce risk to increase their overall returns. How does it pay out? When does the money come back? Well, typically it comes back when the company either is partially sold or fully sold. What I mean by partially sold is if there were a major venture firm that came in and bought 30% of the company or 40% of the company, oftentimes angel investors would have an opportunity to monetize some or all of their investment. But the way it typically happens is in a total liquidity event where a strategic or financial buyer comes in and buys the company. We're not looking to sell Earnest, but this is what happens for most digital tool builders like us. A strategic would come in the 3 to 5 million range of revenue and acquire that company and make it a part of their tool set. So if you had made your investment through a self-directed IRA, one of the good things is it goes in tax-free, it comes out tax-free, goes back into your self-directed IRA. And again, like Sarah, I'm not a tax advisor, but based on my own experience so far, this is the way it works. You make a direct investment from your pre-tax money, and your return of capital and your return on capital goes back into your self-directed IRA. And it's taxed later whenever your IRA becomes taxable. Debt gets paid out in full. If you happen to make a direct investment, the debt gets paid first, as in most companies. Debt is almost always senior to equity. and you would get paid back the debt with any accrued interest, and that would go right back into your self-directed account if you had made the investment in that way. So that's just a little bit of insight about basics of angel investing. Many of you have probably done that. I'm certainly enjoying this experience for myself and for my wife. Just a couple quick things about Earnest. A personal philosophy is value is created when value is delivered. There's a very simple value chain sort of philosophy that we only really harvest as much value as we create, regardless of how we operate or what part of the market we're in. So I just wanted to share 3 quick ways that Earnest creates value. We're harvesting value for our shareholders, but we're delivering value to the real estate industry, to our employees, and to the world very quickly. First of all, we're saving time and preventing fraud. As I mentioned, George did this as an efficiency measure, but it also turns out that not only are we saving time, but we're preventing fraud. And as I mentioned, in those 320,000 earnest money deposits, we've never had a single case of fraud. Very proud of that. And but back to the original purpose for which we were created, George said he would be able to save 50 hours a year on those 50 home transactions, take an extra week at Hilton Head with his kids, which he's done religiously these last 5 years. Major respect to him for that. But we did a calculation based on how many deposits we did last year. On the ones that replaced paper checks, we saved the industry 16 years and 3 months last year, just in 1 year, because we've saved home buyers and real estate agents at least an hour per transaction. We create value for our staff. We create jobs. When I started, we had 7 employees. We now have 20. Just as a point of education on startups, we increased our revenue by 100x. We increased our capital raised by 50x, and we only increased our staffing by 3x. So you can see the leverage as you scale. But we created more jobs, which we're proud of. We've got a great team, best team we've ever had. We also are working on creating sustainable diversity by recruiting more females into our company. Two factors you probably already know is that the tech industry, particularly engineers and designers, are primarily male. But our customer base, which is real estate agents, is primarily women. So it's important for us that we hire women and promote women into leadership as we develop our company. This is not about being woke. This is about good business, and we're making good progress. Currently, about 40% of our employees are ladies, and when I started, we had 0. They were all white guys, and now we have 8 ladies out of 20, which I'm proud of. In 2023, we had our first team leader for customer support, who's a lady, our first female tech person at all, also a tech program manager, Sneha, she's up in Charlotte, and our first female board member, who just got voted, I think it was number 135 out of the top 200 real estate leaders in the country. Her name is Kimber, and she's a fantastic woman. And then a majority of our individual shareholders or unit holders are women. If you take out companies and trusts, those who are named individually are more women than men. So we find that interesting, and we're excited by that. So we're creating value for our team. And finally, we're creating value for everyone. We didn't set out to save the planet. We certainly aren't going to save the planet by ourselves. But as I mentioned, 80,000 earnest money deposits, we're replacing paper checks. That's 80,000 trips to the bank, 80,000 trips to the lawyer's office. And if you look at 80,000 gallons of gasoline, according to the EPA website, replacing that with a complete digital solution, that's about major impact on the environment. At least we're doing our part. The equivalent of about 1.8 million miles driven, and about 90 homes worth of energy could be fueled for a year based on the energy that we saved last year. So these are not the things we were set out to do, but we're happy to be able to provide value as we grow. So lastly, and this is what we're talking about today in terms of training for investors, finally, we're delivering value for investors. You can see our revenue has been, this is not a made up slide out of a PowerPoint template. These are our actual revenues per year up through 2023. And you can see that our growth rate is consistent in 24 and 25, which will get us right to the $5 million average or annual revenue point, which, as I mentioned, is a typical place at which we get significant interest from acquirers. So that is how we create value for the world. Just a quick view of our people. George is our founder and chairman. He's the Keller Williams agent that I mentioned. Russell Smith is a serial entrepreneur in California who we brought on 4 years ago as our head of sales, and now he's our president and COO. He's a fantastic, talented guy. And I mentioned Kimber, our board member. Not to leave anybody out, but here's some of our staff. Other than Russell and myself, here's some of the other folks that we get to work with. Not all of them, but a good many of them. And we're very proud of what they've done. Last year, we had a very good year. I would just say that really you might be asking yourself, well, what's it like to be a prop tech or a real estate tech startup in the worst real estate market in memory? The market, as you probably know, for residential real estate, based on NAR stats, 6.1 million homes were sold in 2022. 2021. 5.1 million homes were sold in 2022, and 4.1 million homes were sold last year in 2023. So fully 1/3 of the market has gone away in terms of transactions per year, from 6 million, or just over 6 million, to just over 4 million. During that time, as you saw, we have grown the business 50% a year. So the main reason for that is we think we're a great solution. We believe we deliver great value to the industry, but it's also we're replacing manual offline processes primarily, and wire transfers, which nobody likes. It's a very risky, fraud-prone area, wires. So we think that our market share is about 3.5% of earnest money deposits. We think the entire market might be about 20% digital, 80% wires and checks. So while we're growing, we expect significant growth, even in down markets like we're experiencing right now. So excited to answer any questions you might have. Again, apologize for the voice, and happy to share whatever information you might have or answer any questions you might have thought of.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick. They may still be filtering in some questions there. We don't have any quite yet, but sometimes, it just takes one or two for them to come in. But thanks for sharing that. It's always good to get, new opportunities, new kind of ways of thinking about things, even if some concepts, sometimes, a few of you guys that are on here may be aware of this, but hearing it from, a new speaker, fresh speaker always provides a little bit of a different outlook, and especially getting to learn a little bit about Earnest as well. Always great. So if you guys do have questions, post them here. I'm also going to go ahead and type out your contact information, Rick, so that if anybody needs to contact you, they sure can. Okay, here's one. J. Alex Sanchez says, how can I leverage this technology as a new real estate investor?
Absolutely. Well, if you're buying an investment property, I would ask your real estate agent if she uses Earnest. We have about 55,000 agents last year, unique requesters. But as you know, there's 1.4 million licensed realtors in the United States. So, odds are your professional realtor might not yet be enrolled, but they can download the app for free. If they're escrow holder, which we have about 4,000 escrow holders pre-registered in our system, if their escrow holder is not there, or if your preferred escrow holder is not there in the system, and you can just search by your area, it'll automatically geo search what's in your area. If your realtors or your preferred escrow holder is not in the network, it's very simple for the realtor to refer that Earnest to that escrow holder so they can get pre-registered. It takes about 45 minutes. But yeah, it saves you time and money. The home buyer, in this case, if you were investing in a real estate property, you would pay $18. That's all we charge. There's free for the agent, the escrow holder, free for the broker. It's just a simple $18 convenience fee for the home buyer.
Always down for new ways to streamline, right? Yeah. Okay, if we have we have any other questions, now would be the time to post them, because we'll probably be wrapping up here in just a second. But appreciate that question. And again, yep, thank you for sharing that. If you guys do want to get in contact with Rick, this is his email address. You can reach out to him. If you're too shy to ask your questions now, totally understand. You can send them in. But we did just get one other question. It says, any references on how to do due diligence for angel investing in startups?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have over 100 angel investors, all of them accredited investors. When I started, we had one. That was February 2019. Now we have 103. I tell you, sometimes it's one phone call. Sometimes it's one Zoom call with an investor. Others take 3 months to do their homework, and they might want to talk to one of our other angel investors. They might want to talk to one of our other employees. They might want to talk to Russell and do a product demo. I would say even if you're investing $50,000 or $100,000, that's still a significant investment. Our minimum is 50. Our average is about 150 for the 103 angel investors, including our debt. All of our debt holders are also angel investors. But it's kind of up to you what your appetite is. The way angel investing works is that the SEC thinks of an angel as a accredited investor who it's buyer beware. So they consider if you have $250,000 a year in income or $1 million in net worth, they consider you to be sophisticated enough to undertake your own due diligence and make your own decisions. Obviously, they also believe that if you were to lose your 50 or 100, which we don't want to ever happen at Earnest, but if you were to lose an angel investment, it wouldn't be a life-changing event, as sad and upsetting as that would be. So I would say read the pitch deck. That's the first thing. Ours is 20 slides long. I'd be happy to send it to you, Ryo. If you're interested in just a sample of one, read the pitch deck. It should resonate with you. If it's not something that you're interested in, like I wouldn't be investing in, I don't know, nanotechnology or something, even blockchain solutions. I mean, it's just not something that I find interesting. So if it's something you're passionate about, something that you find interesting, you look at the pitch deck. If you're still interested, schedule a phone call or a Zoom call. Take it as far as you need to get that level of comfort. And then I would say just enjoy it. A lot of our investors almost view this as a learning opportunity. Kind of an expensive lesson if you lose the money. But if they're invested broadly, why not take a chance on 1 or 2 angel investments in an area that you're passionate about and then learn the process? So one of the things I do is communicate with the angel investors every month. The first of every month, first couple days of the month, I send out an angel email and just update the angels on our revenue, new hires, new products, new conferences we've been to, new partnerships. And what I hear from the angel investors is that's very, very helpful. But not all angel funded startups take it that seriously or take that approach. So, make sure that it's someone that's going to value you and respect you and keep you in the loop so you can stay up to date on whatever the progress of your investment is.
Yeah, those are really good points. I think it's, really important, like you said, having those phone calls or having the Zoom calls, establishing that relationship, making sure it's something that you feel comfortable with. Also, just kind of a little tidbit. We have a blog on our website, just for any type of investment. It's kind of just like a top 10 tips for due diligence. That could be a really good resource for you if you wanted to check that out. Stephen has a couple of questions. He does mention that he would like to get a copy of that pitch deck that you were mentioning. So we'll put your contact information back up one more time so he can reach out. But he also asks, maybe you can answer this one, what rate would a homeowner expect?
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. If you're referring to an investor, in terms of what rate of return, it varies by startup. In our case, we're doubling the business every other year, so the returns are going to be actually quite good. but it wouldn't be something you would think of in terms of a CD or a utility bond where there's less risk. You would expect over time 25 to 30% a year. You'd like to triple your investment or double your investment or 10x your investment. So an angel investor could expect those kinds of returns. In terms of what the homeowner could expect, as I mentioned, it's a simple $18 fee on the front end. They only pay the $18 to move the money from their bank account securely to the escrow holder. And like I say, it's free for the agent, free for the escrow holder. So maybe I understood your question correctly, but if you're referring to interest rates, that would be beyond my sphere of expertise. But I do know they've come down, and we're expecting them, hoping that they'll come down even more in 2024, as they did at the tail end of 2023, if interest rates was your question.
I feel you there. I'm still in the habit of saying 2023 also. I've had to, imprint it in my brain there. But yeah, Stephen, hopefully that answered your question. Of course, it sounds like you may be reaching out for that pitch deck anyway, so feel free to ask that again if you want. But one more time, just going to stick that up again. Of course, it's on the slide there as well. But Rick, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your Tuesday to join us, share this education about Earnest, angel investing with our Power Play Tuesday audience. Again, every Tuesday, every Saturday at 12 Central Time, we do these webinars. I'm always bringing on guest speakers. We're glad everybody that you guys joined us as well. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you have any last, words that you'd like to say, Rick, feel free. Floor's yours, and then we'll go ahead and close it out.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. I just want to thank you again for inviting me to join. I also want to shout out to Chris Barnett, who's one of the account leaders there at Quest. He's been fantastic working with our angel investors, helping them get their account set up and get them invested in Earnest. Chris has been a great resource, very responsive. And I recommend it to anyone who chooses to invest in an IRA. I have one in a different company before I learned of Quest, but I can tell you that the service here has been fantastic. So thanks for putting me on the program today, and I'd be happy to talk to anyone about my experience with angel investing or startups or Earnest in particular.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Rick. We will go ahead and close it out. Thank you all for joining us. Contact information is there. If you want a copy of that pitch deck, just reach out to that email. I'm sure he'll be able to provide that to you. And yeah, we want to say thank you, and hopefully we'll see you guys next Saturday or this Saturday. Thank you. Talk to you later.